Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a science fiction horror film, Body Bag. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins in an underground morgue, where an unsightly coroner is eating his raw meal. However, he stops eating to welcome and address the fourth wall as his visitor in the morgue. He then approaches a corpse and incises its side to study the cause of death. However, he finds the corpse and the rest of the body under a white sheet have died from natural causes, which is a boring topic to discuss. But then he discovers a body bag at the far end and excitedly says that anyone who died from a nasty accident, murder, or suicide is placed inside a body bag. Afterward, he introduces his first horror story titled The Gas Station. The horror tale begins in a remote gas station in Illinois. The station's registrar, Bill, stops watching the news when a college student, Anne, just arrives for her first night shift. Bill orients Anne the basics inside the booth, such as the door automatically locks, so she needs to carry the keys always. Next, Bill advises Anne to be careful around the station, since there's a serial killer on the loose. Anne appreciates the concern, but she knows she can handle herself. Then, before Bill leaves, he jots down his number for Anne to call whenever there's an emergency at the station. Bill later leaves Anne to work. During her spare time, Anne studies for her psychology finals at school. However, she stops studying midway to cater to the creepy middle-aged man in front of her. He tries to bribe her with bourbon to come out of the booth, but Anne ignores his advances, in fear he might be the serial killer. The creepy man eventually leaves the station, allowing Anne to resume her review. Afterward, a good-looking man named Pete stops by the station for a quick refill. He pays through his credit card, and Anne can't help but smile during their small conversation. Pete leaves shortly, and Anne realizes he didn't come back for his card. Anne exits the booth to chase after Pete in his car, but she's too late. Anne goes back inside the booth, but the door doesn't open. She gets frustrated after realizing she has forgotten the keys inside. A tramp unexpectedly sneaks up behind Anne to ask for the keys to the restroom. The tension rises now that Anne is locked from the outside of the booth, unsure whether the person she talks to is the killer. Still, she sets aside fear and does her job to assist her customers. Anne briskly walks towards the repair shop to look for the extra set of keys in the office. She hastily searches for the extra keys in the drawers, where she even accidentally knocks into a photo frame that says the employee of the month. Anne eventually finds the extra keys and then runs back to the booth to open the door so she can finally give the restroom's keys to the tramp. The tramp goes to the restroom just in time before two drunk lovers arrive at the station. The husband leaves the car to pay for the gas, whereas the wife stays behind to fill the car. Anne practices caution, so she asks the husband to check the tramp inside the bathroom. The husband eagerly obliges, while Anne leaves the booth to help the wife refill their tank. The husband shortly returns to tell Anne that the tramp is simply asleep in one of the stalls. The drunk lovers are about to leave when Anne suddenly asks for the restroom's keys, but the husband says he left them behind on the door. The drunk lovers depart shortly, leaving Anne alone at the station again. Anne then daringly goes to the male's restroom to check the tramp, but she finds no one inside, except an artwork on the wall portraying the devil that is carrying headless people. Anne finally resides in the booth, when suddenly the pickup truck atop a lifter in the garage bay rises by itself. Anne immediately contacts for help, but the line is non-responsive. Subsequently, she decides to check it out on her own, while equipped with a wrench. She finds the tramp on the driver's seat, dead from a bloody slit on his throat. Anne falls backward due to shock and accidentally spills the oil on the floor. She then stands up and runs back to the booth to call for Bill. The ringing stops as Bill answers the call inside the garage office with a bloody machete. Fortunately, Anne quickly picks up that the registrar Bill is the serial killer, and so she rushes into the back restroom to look for any weapon. While searching, she finds the real Bill kept in one of the lockers. It turns out the serial killer has murdered and stolen Bill's identity to continue killing people undetected. Meanwhile, imposter Bill breaks into the booth using a sledgehammer and destroys the door to attack Anne, but Anne retaliates by heavily throwing a chair in his face. Imposter Bill falls unconscious due to the impact, and Anne tries to escape using the pickup truck, but Imposter Bill wakes up quickly to raise the car lift, disabling Anne to flee. Imposter Bill tries to pull Anne out from the truck when Pete unexpectedly returns to the station and restrains Imposter Bill. However, he knocks down Pete pretty fast so he can get his hands on Anne, but he stupidly slips in oil and falls under the raised lift. Anne uses the circumstances to her side as she presses Imposter Bill under the lift. Anne is relieved now that the killer has perished. Meanwhile, Pete regains the strength to stand and explains to Anne that he has returned to retrieve his credit card he left behind earlier. Back at the morgue, the coroner displays a Ziploc bag of a skinned head with long threads of hair and explains its whole body fell off a building onto the top of a car, coincidentally swerved in front of a train, and got towed under the engines. This gruesome death of a poor guy introduces the second tale, titled Hair. The story begins with a businessman named Richard, who's self-conscious about his thinning hair due to his aging. His young girlfriend reassures him that he's handsome, no matter if he has hair or not, for looks don't matter to her, but his hormones do. However, her compliments and reassurance are useless, because Richard remains obsessive about maintaining his appearance, so he doesn't go bald. Subsequently, the girlfriend sets him up an appointment with her hairdresser to give him a hairstyle. The next day, Richard meets the hairdresser and allows him to style his hair. However, Richard is unsatisfied with the result, and so he buys numerous products to boost his hair growth. While trying on the hair products, he grows impatient for the slow results, so he recklessly paints his hair to cover the blank patches on his scalp. Just then, the girlfriend revisits him for their date, but she becomes disappointed because Richard can't stop thinking about his hair again. She also gets mad because he can't love himself for who he is, so she leaves Richard alone to think about his selfish and unreasonable desires. The following day, Richard encounters a commercial on television promoting a non-surgical hair rebirth. The promotion itself already enticed Richard to try out the hair procedure because of desperation. He immediately books an appointment and later on visits the clinic to get the gratifying results. He meets a doctor who's going to give him beautiful locks of hair. The process is simple. They're going to apply a protein-based solution on the scalp to revive dead hair follicles and then wrap the head to secure the solution overnight. On the next day, the desired hair awaits. Richard accepts the procedure undoubtedly and chooses the stallion hairstyle on the presented options. Back at his home, he follows the prescribed method religiously to get the right results. The following day, Richard obtains long, luscious hair, and he proudly displays it in front of the hairdresser at the salon, and then his girlfriend, who revisits him at his place. The girlfriend can't help but feel aroused at the sight of Richard's sexy hair, and they end up doing a smelly workout on the spot. The next day, Richard suddenly experiences a sore throat and tries to cure it with mouthwash. He expects it to be gone the next day, but his health only declines more. On the bright side, his hair grows longer than ever before. The following day, Richard goes completely sick as his hair grows strangely beneath his skin, as if they're living creatures slowly infiltrating his body. He cancels his date night with his girlfriend because of his sickness. Afterward, he goes to the bathroom to check the cause of his sore throat. He finds a strange strand of hair stuck inside his throat, so he tries to cut it. But the chopped hair strand oddly screams. He uses a magnifying glass to look at the hair strand and sees it looks like a living hair resembling a worm. Richard decides to go back to the clinic to complain about the solution applied on his hair because hairs are growing out not just from his scalp, but out of his face too. The doctor then cuts open Richard's arm to reveal living hairs that are sprouting out of his skin. The doctor then discloses that he and his staff are worm-like aliens who traveled to Earth in search of food. They only eat human brains, and so they take advantage of the human obsession with vanity, where they infiltrate the human head under the guise of hair products, and later on consume their fatty brains. After the doctor reveals the truth, the nurse places Richard on a chair, who's now brain dead, as the aliens in his head joyfully consume his brain. Back at the morgue, the coroner displays an eyeball to represent and introduce the last tale, titled Eye. The story begins with a baseball player, Brent. The game just finished, and he's about to reunite with his wife, Kathy, at home. However, he runs into a car accident and is immediately rushed to a hospital. The next day, Brent wakes up and learns that he has lost his right eye due to the incident. Losing his eye means his career is over because it's his asset for gameplay. He's about to give up when a surgeon miraculously shows up to offer an eye replacement surgical trial. It's never been done before, but it's a chance for Brent to regain his on-the-edge career. The operation includes an eyeball retrieved from a recently dead person that coincidentally fits Brent's eye socket. If ever the procedure fails, they can remove the eye quickly, but it also means they're back to square one. Kathy and Brent take the chance after deliberating whether to accept it or not. It's a trial and error process that's not bad to try. Soon, Brent undergoes surgery, and after hours of operation, Brent successfully acquires a new brown eye. Meanwhile, Kathy seems to find his new eye weird because it's a different color, but she promises to learn to get used to them eventually. Soon, the lovers return home, and Kathy surprises Brent with a present. Brent learns that Kathy is pregnant, but he's unexcited about it because he worries about his future. Just then, he sees a dead blonde woman erect from a lawn in front of their house, but it disappears right before he feels a jolt of headache. As days pass by, Brent encounters more glimpses from the past as vivid memories flash before him through hallucinations. He sees a mutilated hand grinding in his sink, an alcoholic woman taunting him as he fixes the crib, a dead woman replacing the image of his wife amid their copulation, and more dead women with striking yellow hairs. Brent hunches that something sinister and wrong is going on in his body and mind. He no longer can't take it, so he visits the surgeon to confront him about where he obtained his replacement eye. The surgeon answers that the eyeball came from John Randall, who died in a gas chamber. Brent reckons something's bad when it involves deaths in gas chambers, and so he travels to a local library to research the name online. According to a published article, John Randall was a necrophiliac serial killer who suffered domestic abuse and neglect from his own alcoholic mother during his childhood. Due to abandonment, Randall grew up particularly obsessed with blonde women to the point where he killed them and mated with them afterward. He later died after being convicted of the second-degree murder of multiple women inside a gas chamber. Brent now knows the truth behind the eye he carries, and he's certain that Randall possesses his body to continue his work. He then goes home and digs up a grave in their yard, for he plans to kill Kathy. Kathy arrives home and asks Brent how his talk with the surgeon went. Brent lies that he's no longer in pain, and then his personality abruptly changes as Randall takes over him. Possessed Brent carries shears and threatens to kill Kathy to resume his work as a serial killer. He ties her hair on the table and is about to stab her until Kathy retaliates by reading a Bible verse to bring Brent back to his body. Brent shortly returns to his body, but Randall can return any second. The only way to end this atrocity is to remove the link, which is the eye. Subsequently, he points the shears at his right eye and stabs himself to cut the connection with Randall. Brent collapses on the floor as blood oozes out of his impaled eye. The movie ends with the coroner concluding his 3 horror tales. Suddenly, footsteps emerge from the stairs, and the coroner quickly enters a body bag to hide. Just then, 2 morticians descend the stairs, and then they open the body bag where the coroner hides. They cut him open to imply that the coroner is a corpse as well. The 2 morticians work together while they examine his body, whom they refer to as John Doe, in accordance with his death certificate. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.